When I was struggling with anxiety, one of the things that kept me stuck in the anxiety cycle was constantly seeking reassurance from the doctors. I understood anxiety as an emotion, but why was I experiencing these debilitating physical symptoms, these bizarre digestive issues? I just didn't understand. So most of the time, anytime I experienced a new symptom, I was at the doctor's. Just, can you tell me, like, this is not something else, it's just anxiety? So maybe you are also stuck in that situation because you don't know to differentiate, okay, is this anxiety? Am I really sick? So in this particular video, I want to talk about the top 20 most common symptoms of anxiety. They are scary, but it will help you in not asking the question of, is this anxiety? Is this anxiety? They are very common. Of course, anxiety can present you with a billion symptoms, but in this particular video, I want to talk about some of the common symptoms of anxiety. So if you're new here, my name is Medley Albert. Albert is an ex-anxiety sufferer who uses her own experience of suffering and recovery to help others who are still struggling. If you have not yet subscribed yet, I would urge you to watch this video up to the end. If you feel like this video is valuable or you want to see more of these videos on your timeline, kindly hit that subscription button. In this channel, we create videos about everything concerning anxiety, whether you're struggling with social anxiety, general anxiety, health anxiety, phobias, agoraphobia, OCD, depression, eating disorder. You are sensitized, you are in the right place. Otherwise, let's get started into this video. I want you to first of all understand that anxiety can present you with a plethora of symptoms. When you are sensitized, when your nerves are sensitized, it can misfire symptoms. So if you have been cleared by the doctors, you have been to a professional, all tests have been done, you have been scanned, then those symptoms that you're going to experience after that, they are anxiety. Because I wasted thousands of shillings, I wasted time and just going to the doctors and just seeking the assurance that, you know what, I was not struggling with anything else apart from anxiety. So you can find you're wasting a lot of money, you are wasting a lot of time, and also you are training your mind to not be independent. Every time a new symptom pops up, you're at the doctor's place. That's why you find that every time after seeking reassurance about a particular symptom, another symptom always comes up, because you have trained your mind to never be independent, to always depend on external people, external resources. So I want you to know that those symptoms that you're struggling with, they are not out of the blue, they are not gonna kill you. They are symptoms of sensitization, and a lot of us have struggled with those symptoms. A lot of you are also struggling with those symptoms. You are not alone. So the first common symptom of anxiety is a racing heart. Trust me when I tell you this, your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do when you are sensitized. When you are experiencing heart palpitations, you might, develop cardiophobia. Is there something wrong with my heart? You are constantly worried about your heart. You might be experiencing, heart palpitations. You might be experiencing, sharp pains in your chest. You might be experiencing skipped heartbeats. When you are in the fight or flight mode, adrenaline is being released in your body. And when adrenaline is released in your body, you experience heart palpitation. Think of it even in real life. When you see a lion, you're gonna experience heart palpitations. Let's say you are in a jungle and you see a lion, you're gonna experience heart palpitations. You're gonna experience a racing heart. So this just shows you that heart palpitations, racing heart, is a common symptom of anxiety. So don't think, okay, am I gonna experience a heart attack? No, you are simply experiencing, heart palpitations, a racing heart brought by too much adrenaline in your body. When you have too much adrenaline, you experience a racing heart. The second most common symptom of anxiety is chest pains. This one was it was at first when I didn't understand what was happening, because I always say most of these symptoms, when you want to recover from anxiety, you first of all have to understand what is happening. You first of all have to have the knowledge, because if you are green, you don't understand anything, you will always think that there is something wrong with you. You will always be trying to solve these symptoms, not knowing that these symptoms are symptoms of sensitization. So chest pain, for me, I felt like an elephant foot on my chest all of the time. My chest was heavy. I experienced sharp pains in my chest. So the reason why you are experiencing chest pains is because when you are sensitized, when you're in the fight or flight, muscles around the chest, they tend to contract, they tend to tense up, and when this muscle tense up, your chest will pain. Chest pains is a symptom of stress, and the more you focus on it, the more you worry about it, the more your chest pains even more. The third symptom is dizziness. When you experience dizziness, when you feel like your head is spinning, it is because most anxiety sufferers tend to overbreathe, and when you overbreathe, you are bringing in more oxygen. in your blood, and this may result to you feeling dizzy, feeling like you're gonna faint, feeling like your head is spinning. And let me tell you something, someone struggling with anxiety, it is very rare for them to faint. You might faint because of something else, because of another health condition, but because of anxiety, it is very rare for an anxiety sufferer to faint, because for you to faint, your blood pressure needs to be low, and most anxiety sufferers, their blood pressure is always spiking, so you are not going to faint. And dizziness is a common symptom of anxiety. The fourth or the fifth, the fourth symptom of anxiety is the muscle tension. When you are in the flight or flight mode, your muscles tense up for you to be able to fight the threat. Your jaws may be tensed, your shoulders may be tense, and it is not necessarily that something is wrong with you. You might try to calm down, and you will realize when you try to calm down your muscles, the more they become tensed up. So muscle tension is a symptom of anxiety because your body is geared up to fight a threat. Don't try to calm down, don't try to make it go away. You will always calm down on your own. When you focus on overcoming anxiety, when you focus on desensitizing your nervous system, your muscles will also calm down on their own. The fifth symptom of anxiety is DPDR, feelings of unreality, depersonalization, derealization. This is where you feel like you're seeing the world from 3D, you're seeing the world from a glass. You yourself, you don't feel real. And this symptom, for me personally, this symptom, I enjoy it because I feel like I was high most of the time. And I was like, okay, if this symptom is awarded to me for free, and other people have to buy this feeling, so me, I just embrace that symptom. It is one of the symptoms that I enjoyed, and paradoxically, it was one of the symptoms that went away, one of my first symptoms to go away. This just shows you that the more you don't fear these symptoms, the more you embrace these symptoms, the faster they go away. Feelings of unreality went away when I didn't even want it to go away. But the symptom that I focused on the most, the symptom that I fear the most, the symptom that you fear the most is the one that will go away last. For example, me was the earworms. It is the symptom that went away last because I was always fearing it. I was always focusing on it. So for you to be able to overcome feelings of unreality, you have to embrace it. You have to float through it. You have to move with it. You might feel like you're losing your mind, because some people say that they feel like they're losing your mind. You're not going crazy. Feelings of unreality is a result of a tired mind. You overused your mind. You mentally solved things. You worried about things, and your brain went into protective mode. Yeah, it protected itself from you because you were overusing it. Let me ask you something. What happens when you overuse your limbs? They're gonna ache. You need rest. You need rest for you to be able to use your limbs again. Same with the brain. You overused it, you overstressed it, and it said, you know what, Mary, I can't stand it. And it went into protection mode. When your brain goes into protection mode, that's now where you feel like you're seeing things from 3D, things don't feel real. Even you yourself, like you can be touching yourself and you're asking yourself, it's like you're watching yourself living your life. It's like you're not there, you're just watching yourself. It is a common symptom of anxiety, and the more you try to make it go away, the more it will sting. When you float through it, do your things with it there, and it will start dissipating on its own. I don't even know the number that I'm in. The next common symptom of anxiety is brain fog. Brain fog and feelings of unreality, they're like twins. Brain fog is also a symptom of a tired mind, where you feel like you can't focus, you can't concentrate, you can't think clearly, your thinking is labored. It is because your mind is tired, your mind is foggy. When you are in school, when you are a student, you can read a lot, but there reaches a particular time where your brain can't absorb anything anymore. No matter how hard you try to continue reading, your brain can't absorb it anymore. Those are symptoms of brain fog. That is the same feeling that you are experiencing right now. Your brain became overstimulated. It became overwhelmed with stress, and now you find that you are tired most of the time. You can't think clearly. Your thinking is labored. And let me tell you something. The more you try to think your way out of the brain fog, the more you worry about the brain fog, the more you are sinking deep into the brain fog. Because remember, the main cause of brain fog is you constantly thinking, you constantly overworrying, and your brain becomes tired. So the more you stress, the more you constantly think about the brain fog, the more you constantly try and figure your way out, the more you're sinking deep in the brain fog. Your brain will start becoming clear when you leave it alone. Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. When you leave it alone, and when you focus on overcoming anxiety, as you desensitize your nervous system, you will start thinking clearly, your memory will come back, your thinking will not be labored anymore. Don't continue digging deeper. Stop adding second fears, and with time, with your patience, your thinking will become clearer again. Another common symptom of anxiety is restlessness. For a long time, I couldn't sit still. I just had to pace. I just had to tap my feet. I was just doing this. I just couldn't sit still. And I didn't understand why. Like pre-anxiety, I was a very calm person. I could sit for long hours without feeling like I need to move around. But with anxiety, I just even couldn't sit for 10 minutes without pacing, without tapping my feet. And the reason this happens is because when we are in the fight or flight, our body is geared to fight, this particular threat. And because with anxiety, most of the time you barely do anything physically because you are tired. Fatigue is another symptom of anxiety, which I'm going to talk about next. You are tired, so this energy just sits in your body. You are geared up, but there is nothing to fight. So this energy just sits in your body, and this is what leads to restlessness, because you feel like you have all this energy, but it doesn't have anywhere to go to. Your body has all this energy, but it doesn't have anywhere to go to. So that's now where you find you are tapping your feet, you are pacing around, you are generally restless. It is a symptom of anxiety because of the excess energy that you are not using. Another common symptom of anxiety is fatigue. This was one of my biggest struggles. Apart from earworms, fatigue was also, like, I had a big struggle with fatigue. I'm a person who likes moving around, but with anxiety, even waking out of my bed was like climbing a mountain. Even washing my own body, even brushing my teeth, literally felt like an uphill task. So when you're struggling with anxiety, too much adrenaline, too much stress hormones in your body, adrenaline and cortisol, they use up the already resources that you have. And when these resources are used, you remain depleted. You find that you lack energy. You find that, you literally even can't move around. So fatigue is a symptom of anxiety. And the best way to overcome fatigue is to move around. Drag yourself around. Don't just be in bed. Don't just, you are not showering. Do these things tired. And when you do these things, you will find that you start having energy to do them. You will find that you start gaining interest in the real world. So move around with the fatigue. Also, another thing that may lead to fatigue is people struggling with anxiety. They are always not sleeping. They're struggling with insomnia. So this can make you tired the next day. The other common symptom of anxiety is insomnia. And the reason why you're not sleeping is because you're trying too hard to sleep. Don't make sleep an important issue. When you make sleep important, that's what your brain will focus on, because to it, that's a threat. So don't try too hard to sleep. Go to bed that you want to rest. Don't go to bed that you are really trying hard to sleep. Go to bed that you want to rest, and when you release that pressure, you will find that you are sleeping. Sleep is natural, and no one is taught how to sleep. Anxiety can cause insomnia because your brain is activated and always alert. But what keeps this cycle going is you putting pressure on sleep. You trying hard to sleep. Release that pressure, go to bed to rest, and you will find that you are sleeping. Another common symptom of anxiety is tension headaches. You might find that you feel pressure behind your eyes, you are having migraines, you are having the frequent headaches, you are having a round headband around your head, you are having, like, I used to feel like there was something burning at the corners of my eyes. You don't need painkillers for those types of headaches. They are headaches brought by anxiety, because when you are sensitized, muscles around the head, they tend to tense up, and when they tense up, you might experience these headaches. Don't focus on them. Don't worry about them. They are symptoms of anxiety. Just stop adding second fears, and they will dissipate on their own. Another common symptom of anxiety is visual disturbances. You might have blurry vision, you might have eye floaters, you might tunnel vision, your pupils might dilate, you might feel like you're seeing things at the corners of your eyes. When you are sensitized, muscles around the eyes, they tend to tense up. And also, when we are in the fight or flight, our vision is meant to sharpen, and that's why you might find that your pupils may dilate, or you might find that you are experiencing tunnel vision. It is not because something is wrong with your eyes. I went to the eye specialist a couple of times, and they always just looked at me and told me there is nothing wrong with your eyes. There is nothing really wrong with your eyes. It's just that anxiety may cause these visual disturbances, and the more you focus on them, the more you try to make them go away, the more they come. So just allow them to be there and live your life with them. Another common symptom of anxiety is tinnitus. Tinnitus is where you feel like you are having ringing ears. You feel like you are hearing, certain sounds in your ears. And this happens because you are sensitized. Your brain is alert. And when your brain is alert, it is sensitive to sounds. Even common sounds that, you used to hear back then, your brain makes them loud. you are not going crazy. Those are sounds that you can hear when you're struggling with anxiety. Just live your life and let them ring. When you deny them the attention, they will go away as a consequence. Another common symptom of anxiety is digestive issues. You might experience constipation, bloating, nausea, loose stool, frequent urination. And when you go to the hospitals, all they say is that your gut is fine. Your gut is fine. When you are struggling with anxiety, blood is moved away from the stomach to other areas where your body considers important. Blood is moved away from the stomach to the, to the heart, to the muscles, and also the microbiomes in your gut, they are less compared to someone who is non-sensitized. That's why you're experiencing these digestive issues. When you focus on overcoming anxiety, digestive issues are also gonna go away as a consequence. You don't need to solve the bloating on their own, the butterflies in your stomach, the frequent urination, the acid reflux. All those symptoms are symptoms of anxiety. When you focus on overcoming anxiety, those symptoms are also gonna go away as a consequence. Another common symptom of anxiety is shortness of breath. It is not like you're running out of oxygen, because someone struggling with anxiety, they take in more air than everyone else. They take in more oxygen than anyone else, because your brain and body are geared up to fight this particular threat that doesn't exist. So anxiety can change your breathing patterns, making you to feel like you are not taking in enough oxygen, but you're taking in enough oxygen more than everyone else. That was also one of my scariest symptoms, shortness of breath. It always made me feel like, I'm gonna lose my life, because I feel like I was not getting in enough oxygen. You are taking in more than enough oxygen, because your body is getting geared up to fight this threat. Anxiety, you might feel like you're not taking in enough because anxiety has changed the breathing patterns, but you are. Whatever is keeping this cycle going is you focusing on your breath, you always trying to take deep breaths. That's what keeping the cycle going, because this means you're giving it attention. This means you're focusing on it. And when your brain sees that, you become even more obsessed about it, and more of the feeling like you are not taking in enough oxygen, while in reality you are taking in more than enough. Just breathe normally. Don't grasp for air. Just breathe normally, and you'll find that as time goes by, you'll not be going to focus on your breath. The thing that is keeping that cycle going is you focusing on the breath. Stop focusing on it. You will always breathe. Even if you're sleeping, you will always breathe. It is your focus that is making you feel like you're not taking in more than enough oxygen. Another common symptom of anxiety is lump in the throat. This is one of the symptoms that made me lose weight, because I was afraid of choking sensations. I was afraid that, food might be stuck in the throat. And what is happening there is that when you are sensitized, the muscles around the throat, they also tend to contract. That's why you find that when you're swallowing food, you are having these choking sensations. You feel like food is going to stay stuck in your throat. That's not the case. Your focus is the one that is driving this fear. Just eat and swallow normally, even though you might feel some friction when you're swallowing food. But if you just swallow food and not focus on the feeling in here, that symptom will go away. Lump in the throat is a common symptom of anxiety, and there is nothing wrong with you. I know you have been to the doctors a couple of times and they say, you are fine. It is just another symptom of anxiety. The next common symptom of anxiety, panic attacks. And panic attacks are like waves. They are anxious energy stored in the body that just needs to be released. The more you suppress panic attacks, the more you try to make them go away, the more that energy stays in your body. Panic attacks can be scary, but the only way to overcome panic attacks is to let them come, is to feel that energy. Do not suppress panic attacks. Do not try to stop them, because they are anxious energy stored within. The realization that I had when I was having panic attacks is that I'm healing. The reason why I'm having these panic attacks is because I'm healing. The anxious energy wants to be felt. They want to be released. And the only way they can be released is by me feeling them. So panic attacks is another common symptom of anxiety. Do not be afraid of them. Do not be spared because of them. It is just anxious energy stored in the body. Another common symptom of anxiety is numbness. I used to feel numb around my head, around my arms, around my legs. And this happens because when our bodies is overwhelmed with stress, it can misfire symptoms such as, the numbness. When your body is overwhelmed with emotions, it is overwhelmed with physical symptoms. Some of your body parts might feel numb. It is not because you're developing stroke, you're not developing any of that. It is a symptom of anxiety. The next common symptom of anxiety is shaking. When those adrenaline, when the stress hormones, the adrenaline and cortisol are being burnt off in your body, they will be released in form of shaking. They will be released in form of vibrations. They will be released in form of tremors. Even in reality, in real life, apart from anxiety, When you are afraid of something, you're gonna shake. So that's just a practical example that shaking is a common symptom of anxiety. The next common symptom of anxiety is feeling of impending doom. Your brain has scanned around, it has seen there is no real threat. So because your brain has scanned around and it has not seen any real threat, it is always anticipating for danger. That's why you might have these feelings of something bad is about to happen. Something bad is about to happen to you. It is what we call the feelings of impending doom. It happens because your brain is always scanning. If it has not seen anything, it anticipates for danger. The other common symptom of anxiety is intrusive thoughts. A brain that is always scanning for danger will produce scary thoughts, repetitive thoughts, the intrusive thoughts, the weird thoughts, the existential thoughts. What if I lose control? What if I hurt others? What if I lose my mind? What am I doing in this earth? What is the purpose of me being here? So a brain that is anxious, a brain that is always scanning for danger, will produce the what if, scary, intrusive thoughts. The thing that keeps the thoughts coming is you giving those thoughts attention, because you giving those thoughts attention deems these thoughts as important. Have you ever realized that a thought that is a good thought, that let's say you enjoyed eating at a certain restaurant, a thought that is you really love your kids, those thoughts don't stick. But a thought, the what if thoughts, they tend to stick, because these are the thoughts that you give attention. And any thought to the brain, any thought that you give attention, that is a thought that is going to stick. So I think that is the last symptom that I was going to talk about. I've talked about the 20 most common and most scary symptoms of anxiety. So you need to realize that fear is the one that is driving those symptoms. If you remove the fear, those symptoms cannot survive on their own. If you have watched up to this point, kindly a thumbs up for this video, like this video, comment down below which of the symptoms that I have talked about is your biggest struggle. Share this video to other people who may need it, and also subscribe because it helps the channel grow. Otherwise, let's meet on the next video.